Hey, everybody. How are you guys once again on this wonderful Sunday? You get me twice on a Sunday. Normally, you don't get me at all on Sundays. But this is where we're going to talk about important things. So please keep in mind, we keep it moving over here. We let the pigs play in the pig pen and slop mud on their own, and we just keep it moving and we talk about what's important. And right now, this case is extremely important. There's still not a suspect. Hopefully, in an hour in the press conference that we're going to watch together, we'll learn something good. I'm hopeful that they have more information. But in the meantime, we're going to go over some of the reports that have been released, some of the updates that have been put out, some of the rumors that have been put out, we're going to squash and talk about because, once again, law enforcement has squashed them. So it could be put to bed, but people like to just continue to stir. So we're going to start off with the update from last night. This is from the city of Moscow Police Department's web or their Facebook page. Let me get you here. Last night at 8:28 p.m., clarification. This was released last night at 8:28. Well, a clarification was made. The cell phone used to call 911 belonged to one of the surviving roommates. So it's been questioned who actually placed the call to 911. It has now been confirmed that the call was placed by one of the roommates that thankfully survived this attack from inside the home at 11:58. So it says, due to the ongoing investigation, the identity of the caller has not been released. But then they put out more stuff in the meantime. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. Updated information. At this time, detectives have investigated the private party driver who took Kaylee and Madison home on November 13th and do not believe he is involved in this crime. It was initially said that they took an Uber home. That was going around over and over again. Hey, y'all, I'm going to go back and say hi to everybody. Let's stop. I jumped right in. Let me get back on my normal here. I didn't say hi to you guys. Hey, Terry. Hey, Susan. Hey, JJ, Jean, Moonlight, Amethyst, Hoodies and a Crowbar. We might need that. Linda, JJ, I Hate Peas. Still my favorite name. Trisha, Chartreuse, Shopaholic, Susan, Elle, Linda, who else is in here? Angelisa, Solo, Marcy, Hope's Echo, Miss Lee, Cherish. Sorry, y'all. I just jumped right in. Carol, April. Yeah, April, that's how I'm feeling. Hey, Nunya. Whatchamacallit. I love whatchamacallits. Revival. Sunny Days. Beth. Peg. Lily. They could ever. And Mocus. I got y'all, I think. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. I didn't mean to be rude and not say hi to everybody when I came in this time, but let's go back to this. So the Uber driver, we went over the footage from the Grub truck, the food guys. We watched the entire thing. I was under the impression that they were annoyed by the guy, but it was like the buddy kind of thing. And they have talked to him. It's been put out multiple places, and he's not a suspect. He's not a person of interest at this time. That could change. But as of right now, they have said that he is not a suspect or a person of interest. And they haven't interviewed him. So, and it is confirmed that they did not take an Uber. They did get a private ride. Detectives believe that on November 12th, the 2 surviving roommates had been out in the Moscow community separately, but returned home by 1 a.m. The 2 did not wake up until later on November 13th. So the 2 roommates that were in the home during the attack arrived home about 45 minutes before the others, according to this information. Detectives confirmed that the victims were located on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the residence. That's been confusing to some people also because of the way the layout is. It's almost like a split level. Well, I wouldn't even call it that because of how it is. It's built odd, but they were found on what would be considered like the main floor and the upstairs. And the other two were in the basement, from my understanding. The two that survived must have been located, their bedrooms must have been on the very bottom floor. That's just an assumption. That's not what's stated here. I will tell you their words versus mine. Detectives are aware of multiple phone calls from victims Madison and Kaylee to a male. This information is part of an ongoing investigation. Most of you have heard that too. Yes, thank you, Nanya. Thank you. Yeah, this is the update they gave last night, so I'm hoping we learn more today. This was released at 6:15. They did a clarification at 8:28. Okay, so Madison and Kaylee both called a male, which we do know was the ex-boyfriend of one of the girls, who it has been confirmed was in a different location. The families have said they don't find or think that he's involved. Now, law enforcement, this is their statement, but when we see all the other statements, you'll kind of be able to line it up. So law enforcement is just saying that detectives are aware of multiple phone calls from victims Madison and Kaylee to a male. They're not even confirming who it is. Everybody else has done enough research and put it out there that it's known who it is, but he was in a different location. The information is part of an ongoing investigation. That's what they said. Detectives are seeking all outside surveillance video taken from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, 2022, from businesses and residents within the geographical area below. Detectives are requesting all available video, whether there appears to be motion and content or not. Tips, pictures, videos can be submitted to the tip line, blah, blah, blah. The tip line is 208-883-7180 for assistance. And there's a link there too. If you guys want me to provide that, I will. Then it gives the locations that they're looking for information. West Taylor Avenue, West Palouse Drive, Highway 95 south to the 2700 block of Highway 95 southeast boundary. And Arboretum and Botanical Garden, west boundary. There will be a news conference. That's what we're waiting on today. And this is the original report that they've been updating. Carly, that's a great question. That's a very good question. That's something that people have been. Yes, just Jake. Yep. That's what we're doing. We're just going to go over some of the videos and things that have been released by legit media beforehand. One of the things I want to play today is the statement by the Chapin family, because I think it's important and it says a lot. It says a lot about what these families are already going through. And unfortunately, as we know, it just gets to be a mess. But let me finish this. So the original information says that on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee Calvez, is it pronounced? They all pronounce it differently. Every single media outlet, law enforcement, depending on who's speaking, they all pronounce it so differently. And Madison Mogan were at a local bar called the Coroner Club at 202 North Main Street in downtown Moscow between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. At approximately 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were seen on a video at the local food vendor called the Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street and used a private party for a ride home from downtown to arrive at their 1122 King Road residence at 1:45 a.m. So they got home 45 minutes after the original two roommates, the surviving two roommates. Just so we're clear. Investigators have determined that Ethan Chapin and Zana Coroner were seen at the Sigma Chi house on, is it Chi? Probably not. House on University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Pierce Drive. At approximately 1:45, Ethan and Zana are believed to have returned to the residence at 1122 King Road. So they all got home at the same time. It was previously reported that Ethan resided at the home. However, it has been determined that he was only visiting. So there was 5 girls in the home and 1 male. And he did not live there. The rest of them all lived there. 2 other roommates were at the residence that night. This was their previous stuff. On November 13th at 11:58 a.m., officers responded to the residence after a 911 call reported an unconscious individual. Upon arrival, officers discovered Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan deceased inside the residence. Autopsies were conducted on November 17th. The Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 murdered individuals and their cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing. The coroner stated that the 4 victims were likely asleep, some had defensive wounds, and each was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of sexual assault. That's a lot to take in right there. It is, Queen. It really is. It's just hard to watch and hear like how normal their evening was going. You know, it was just a very normal girls' night out type evening. Like they seemed to be having a lot of fun and no like worries. It didn't seem, you know, they seemed a little annoyed, but that's typical girls. And, you know, I don't know. But it just seemed like they were doing, you know, what we all do at that age, hanging out with their friends, having a normal night. Like it's just heartbreaking. Yes, heartbreaking is a good word. Okay, let's continue. Sorry, all my sinuses are really acting up today too, like majorly. And I'm like, ugh, but we're going to keep it on. Where did I leave off at? At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe that the 2 surviving roommates or the male in the grub truck surveillance video are involved in this crime. They have all been interviewed extensively. Additionally, online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. The identity of the 911 caller has not been released. As part of the investigation, detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road to locate possible evidence. Additionally, detectives have contacted local businesses to determine if a fixed blade knife had been recently purchased. I told you guys about this the other day when I went and grabbed a knife from our garage just to kind of look at it. It's similar to the knife that they're looking for or the type of knife that they say they're looking for. And I was really looking at the blade of that. And I'm so confused by some of this, but we're going to get into that in a minute. At the time of this release, granted, this was the previous release, and then they updated it last night with what I first read. At the time of this release, detectives have received nearly 500 tips, which are being processed, investigated, and cleared. 38 interviews have been conducted with individuals who may have information about the murders. Anyone with information, again, is asked to call 208-883-7180 or tip line at ci.moscow.idaho.usa. Well, that was a period at the end of the sentence. Never mind. Sorry, y'all. I'm just reading what's there. Moscow. Okay, and here is how many people are working on the case, which I find to be that area. I've said this again. That area is so small that, of course, they have to bring in teams from around the region, which I think they said Salt Lake City is the closest FBI field office to there. Boise might have one too. But they have 4 detectives, 24 patrol officers, 5 support staff, the FBI, 22 investigators in Moscow, 20 assigned agents located out of Treasure Valley, Idaho, Salt Lake City, and West Virginia, 2 behavior analyst unit, Idaho State Police, 20 investigators, 15 troopers, public information officer. They have a lot of services on this, in other words. 15 uniformed troopers to assist with community patrols. Currently, there are no suspects in custody, and the weapon has not been found. Anyone who observed suspicious behavior, has video surveillance, or can provide relevant information about these murders is asked to call the tip line 208-883-7180 or email again, and I can put that in the description when we're done. The Moscow Police Department thanks our community for their continued support, understanding of the limited information we can share, and the patience during this difficult time. And then they did provide a map of like the general area. Again, if you want to see what we're talking about, this release is on Facebook. It's the City of Moscow Police Department's Facebook post. So, yeah, he might be cleared at this point. I think it's leaning that way. Oh, Marcy, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Oh, Pocatello does? Yinzy, that could be. I was thinking Boise. It's interesting to me. Well, they brought Salt Lake because it's the biggest, but there's a bunch of smaller offices around. So I'm sure they have a lot of resources, thankfully, deployed to get stuff out there. Again, they hadn't had a murder in this area in like 8 years. So they're, you know, trying go, go, go. But I just hope that in time we find out more information. Let me get in here for a minute, y'all, and pull up videos. Sorry. This whole, where's my library? There it is. History. Watch later. Here we go. This is where we're going to start. It's from Creme 2 News. Oops, hold on. Let me go back here. I got to share the screen with you guys. Hey, y'all. Yeah, we know that there's a lot going on in other places, but per usual, we just keep it moving and let them do whatever they're going to do. You know, the ball's out there. It is what it is, and we're just going to keep it moving. And this is an important case, so let them do what they're going to do. Thank you. I appreciate everybody letting us know, though. I want to pause it right here for a minute and just this is why this story is important. Right here. These are 4 young children that had bright futures ahead of them. All if you listen to their families talk, they all were bright lights in every one of their families. None of them had like like they were just very normal college students. They were taking precautions. They were doing what we all hope our kids will do. That's they were doing it. So this to the family has just been incredibly upside down, and you can only imagine, like, my heart just breaks for the family. You can't look at these faces and not think what they could have what their lives would have become. And granted, you know, I just it's devastating and senseless. Like, what's the point? There's no point in this stuff. But this is who's important. This is what we're focused on. Victims of crimes like this, people who are going through real life problems. This is who deserves the attention, to be remembered. These 4 children, Shanquilla Robinson, her name needs to be out there more. These are the stories that matter and what YouTube should be used for, in my opinion.
I've been here in Moscow on scene since about 3 p.m. Since I've been here, I've watched Moscow police cars come in and out of this neighborhood, where officials found 4 people dead. Neighbors say they began noticing police cars flood the area around 12 p.m. today. Moscow police say they responded to a call here on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon further investigation, officials found 4 people dead. While police investigated the scene, the University of Idaho enacted a shelter-in-place alert as university officials reported a homicide near campus. As we've stated, that alert is lifted at this time.
We're going to talk about that for a minute. It has been stated many times that people are very upset with the way the university handled this, and I agree. I think that they didn't understand the gravity of the situation at the time and had a lapse in judgment just because of lack of experience and types of things like this. But that's here nor there. I can't imagine what they're dealing with on top of like trying to keep you've got 4 different families here. You've got a whole college campus. Again, there's 10 miles away is another huge college campus. These are 2 big college campuses going into the holiday break. I wish they would have done a little bit more to ensure the safety of everybody around. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like anything else has happened, but it's still like, as a parent, I can understand the frustration of the other parents, with kids going to school there, and the lack of prompt action by the university or follow through to keep that prompt action. And again, I know that a lot of these people grew up in small towns. The University of Idaho is a lot of kids from rural areas that go there, in places that they don't lock their doors. They leave their keys in their vehicles. That's how a lot of these people are raised. A lot of us were raised that way, that you leave your doors unlocked. We don't know if they stated that the door was unlocked. We don't know exactly how it got unlocked, if it was left unlocked, anything like that. But it's just a good reminder. Please always lock the door behind you. If you're a single woman with a single mom with kids, even if it's during the day, lock your door. You can never be too safe. So just a reminder there, because unfortunately we can't go back and fix this. And that's horrifying, to say the least, because 4 lives were lost unnecessarily. But things we can take away from them are safety things that maybe we can help prevent something further in the future. I don't know. Like, that's the way I have to look at this stuff in order to make it make sense. I make it make sense. And some people will never lock their doors, and that's totally their understanding. But if you have young college kids and they've been raised in that environment, or even kids going off and getting an apartment, make sure that they know that even though you didn't in your homes as a young adult, to please do it. But that's my soapbox, and I'm getting off it, and we're going back to the stream. Sorry, you guys know I have to pause and do all this stuff, and I will interact in the comments too. I also want to know what you guys think about the call still saying that a person was unconscious. What are your guys' thoughts on that? My thoughts are, whoever found the first victim was too stunned and shocked to go further, and was hoping it was just an unconscious person, possibly. I don't know. Otherwise, maybe it was just they were hoping. That's what I think, is that maybe they were so shocked by the gravity. That's okay. Thank you. I was thinking shock too. And I've been seeing people all over say, there's no way they don't know what happened. Yeah, there is. There's so many experts that have chimed in on this who say the same thing. There is such a high probability that there was no noise made. And again, okay. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking shock too. Yep. Okay. And that's what I was thinking, instead of, because who knows, what would come out of your mouth at that time. Yeah. So Just Jake, it's a sorority house. So it's kind of got a combined areas, and then each of them have bedrooms and other areas of the home. And there's been many statements by people around that the in and out doors, there was always people in and out because of just the house, and having parties and stuff like that, and get-togethers, and people coming and going all the time. But they did have a keypad on the front door. But the 2 roommates, they went home, and it's being stated again, this is not confirmed yet, but they went home and went to their rooms, and they're used to locking their doors. I'm assuming that's probably very true, that they just went home after their night out, went to their room, shut the door, went to sleep, and that's where it ended. Yes, thank you, Amethyst, for saying that again. Yes, it was confirmed this morning that the call was made from one of the roommates' cell phones. That will be updated today in the press conference too. I hope we learn a lot. April, that's what I was wondering. Oh, y'all, I just watched a really good movie. That's what I was doing in this meantime. In fact, that's why it's really funny to me. We were watching, it's Halle Berry, and I've got to find the name of it. It's a little eerie. It's about a 911 caller for the LAPD and a girl that gets kidnapped. Little much when you're doing true crime like this, but it's a very good movie. And gives some really good tips on some things too. No, yeah, Carly, that's a very good point. Very good point. I'm wondering if the person drove there, people would have seen something. Okay, here's another thing. We're going to go into this, but one other thing that I wanted to talk about was it was extremely cold. There was heavy frost and I think snow in spots. When the first reports came out, there was still snow on the ground. I would assume the person would have been covered in blood. I mean, these are just assumptions again, but would have been covered in blood. They would have had to exit the residence somewhere unless they cleaned up. I mean, there's just so many questions I have. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm feeling stranger too at this point, Peg, in a way. I don't know. It's really crazy. Let's get back into this.
Neighbors say most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students, but we do not know the identities of those involved or who lives at the residence. Officials are investigating. This is a very much developing situation, and we will continue to stay on the grounds until we have more information to report back to you. Until then, in Moscow, Janelle Finch.
So police still have this house here near University of Idaho taped off. This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the name.
So there's snow in spots. Sorry, I just had to pause that because we were just talking about that. None I was also thinking, I bet there's bathrooms on in some of those rooms too. I mean, I hope that's not the case, but there is snow in certain spots, but it's not on all sides. So I guess there is, and it goes pretty much right into pavement. I know this is like 8 to 9 hours after, well, and who knows how long until news got on the scene, but there was still snow on the ground in the original photos too. I don't understand. No blood trail, yeah. Besides on the side of the house. Crazy. Okay, let me go again. Oh no, Elle, you're good. I'm sure she'll be fine. That happens.
Near University of Idaho taped off. This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the names of those 4 students. They were 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho, and 20-year-old Dana Kernodle from Avondale, Arizona, and they were all University of Idaho students. Here's a
And just to clarify, they list Xana as Avondale, Arizona, but truthfully, her father had just moved there in the recent years, so she had been spending time down there, but she went to school in Post Falls, Idaho. The other 2 girls are from Rathdrum and Coeur d'Alene. 2 of them graduated from Lake City High School in Coeur d'Alene, and Xana graduated from Post Falls, Idaho. Ethan was a freshman in college. He is from the west side of Washington. His family does own a summer home in Coeur d'Alene, and he is the boyfriend of Xana. Just in case anybody is trying to catch up, just a few details here and there. Yes, the police released today that they were not bound and gagged. That is not truthful. And hopefully, again, in 28 minutes, I'm keeping an eye on it. We will be able to find out some more.
Here's a breakdown of the timeline from what we know so far. Around 1 p.m., we heard reports of a homicide investigation near the college campus. An hour later, the school put out an alert on social media. It said Moscow PD is investigating a homicide on King Road. They asked the community to stay away from the area and shelter in place as a precaution. Around 3 in the afternoon, Krem2 arrived in Moscow. Neighbors said most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students. At around 5 in the evening, the Moscow Police Department confirmed they had found 4 people dead, but it wasn't until late last night that they confirmed those victims were students. The university also said Moscow police do not think there's any active threat at the moment as they continue their investigation. Classes for University of Idaho.
And they've kind of gone back and forth. Again, this is an older report, but it gives like a broader view of the entire story. So I figured it was great to catch people up that didn't even know about the story and how it all has unfolded over the last few days. Unfortunately, we're going on a week now, and it's just horrifying. There's still no suspect, and I am starting to feel like it feels really much so. Again, I brought up these murders out of Montana from back in the early 2000s, and it reminds me of that so much because it was broad daylight right on a main highway. Guy walked in, 3 victims, and walked out and right into broad daylight, like right into a busy area, and never was found. It's been over 20 years and there's been nothing. And I really hope this is not the case. But it just, I can understand why people are super upset.
Students are canceled for the day. They say they will resume classes tomorrow. In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, Krem2 News.
Moscow police responded to King Road for a call about an unconscious person Sunday afternoon. When police arrived, they found the 4 deceased students inside the home. This morning, the city of Moscow and University of Idaho identified all 4 U of I students. Freshman Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, was a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Zaina Kernodal, a junior from Post Falls, was a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority. Madison Mogan was a senior from Coeur d'Alene, and Kaylee Gonsalves was a senior from Rathdrum.
This is a pretty traumatic situation for our campus community.
Dean of Students Blaine Eccles says news of the suspected homicide shocked the Vandal community.
This is rocking their world. Many of them come from small communities where things like this have never happened.
He says drop-in counseling is available to students at any time. He recognizes that many students have already returned home early for the upcoming holiday.
People need to navigate through this situation in the way that best suits them. If students need to go home, be closer with their families, want to return home, I support them in doing that. We're going to support them in doing that.
Support for U of I goes beyond the university campus. Businesses throughout the city of Moscow are offering prayers and thoughts for the Vandal community. And because Moscow is a tight-knit community with a strong relationship with the university, this response isn't a surprise to Mayor Art Bettage.
I feel very badly for them, and not just for the victims, but everybody else who's a friend and associate with those people.
He told me he was shocked by the news about what he's calling a senseless act of violence.
This is stuff that shouldn't happen, especially in a small, quiet town like Moscow is, where we're heavily involved with the university. And these are
Sorry, I just saw a question I wanted to answer. Highway 95 is the main north and south would be. There is, let me look here. 95 would be the main, I think it's 95 both north and south. Let me look just a second. It's not like a big interstate, but it is like it's a main, I guess it's the state highway, whatever you would call it. Let me see. I think 95 that's the only road. 84, does 84 go all the way up? Hold on. Interstate 84. Yeah. Well, you could access it, but it wouldn't make sense. No, 95 would be the route you take. I mean, 84 connects down south. That would be the main interstate in that area, or I-15, which are a long ways away. So 95 would be your in and out of there. But that's what I'm saying too, is it's a desolate area out there. Like when I said about how long it takes to get from there to like Coeur d'Alene and stuff, it depends on which way you go, and depending on what time of year. It's a pretty desolate area. It's a very, you go outside of the town and it's wilderness. 270. Is that the other one up there? That's what I was looking. There is 2 that go up. 95 is the most used, and they were looking for police footage right off of 95. So I'm assuming that's why they're looking at 95. Yes, the university is not on the main interstate or the main road. It's not. It's offset back a little bit. There is a map on the Moscow Police Department's website. You can look and see all of it. Pig, they've said no, not to this Route 9. Thank you. XX Beautiful Beast. Yes. I think this will explain a lot because it's kind of a compilation of all of their reporting over since the case broke. This will help answer all of that stuff. Hopefully yes, they're waiting on DNA. There was they said it was a horrific scene, and they've been processing a lot.
Things that affect not just town, but the university, the students, lends everybody to a sense of insecurity about what's going on here and why. And it's a very tragic and sad situation all around.
In speaking with Kaylee Gonzalez's mother and sister, they tell me Kaylee was a strong and passionate go-getter. She even already had a job lined up in the tech industry after graduation.
Actually, let me correct myself right quick, because looking at this now, 270, the intersection of 270 might be closer to their houses than 95. 270 might actually be closer to the location of the murder versus 95. It's very close to it's kind of in a triangle a little bit in that area, but 95 and 270, one's to the north of the incident and one's to the east. Hopefully that makes sense. If I was all techie, we could pull up all these maps, y'all, but I haven't gotten that way. I haven't gotten that good yet.
Kaylee was one of 5 Gonzalez's children. She graduated from Lake City High School, the same school as Maddie Mogan, another victim. Kaylee's family says the 2 were especially close, and Maddie was a part of their family as well. Kaylee's oldest sister, Olivia, shared a statement on behalf of the Gonzalez family. It reads in part, "Kaylee was, is, and always will be our defender and protector. She is tough and fair, the ultimate middle child. She did absolutely everything she set her mind to. She didn't hold back on love, fights, or life. Kaylee was the ultimate go-getter and constantly wanted an adventure." We still have a lot of questions about what happened. Also looking for answers is Kaylee's family. Kaylee's sister Olivia asked the public to stop spreading rumors about what happened and wait for the facts from police. We are continuing to ask our own questions and will continue to bring you updates as we get them. In the studio, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Ethan Chapin, his brother and sister, all grew up here together. They went to school here together, and together they enrolled.
I'm sure he'll explain more in a minute, but just some background of what's going on. Ethan is a triplet. He is one of 3, of course, triplet. But 2 of his siblings also attend the University of Idaho. He was the only male that was killed during this incident, but his brother and sister attend the University of Idaho also. The parents were, when they've done interviews, and again, we can watch one of those, and hopefully they'll play some of it, but they were at their summer home in Coeur d'Alene. They live in Western Washington though. Coeur d'Alene, and just so you guys are aware, Coeur d'Alene is northern Idaho. It's north of Moscow. It's where all of them kind of lived. and hung out where their homes are. That's where a lot of the vigil, like the candlelight vigils and stuff, are going on up there. That's rocked that entire community, the entire community. And it is a very touristy area in the summers.
At the University of Idaho, 3 inseparable siblings now torn apart.
You just couldn't ask for better kids.
Dave Hayton considered Ethan Chapin family, all the Chapin kids actually. He and his wife watched them grow up in their Conway neighborhood. They'd come over for fudgesicles from the basement freezer. When the couple heard what happened, they were crushed.
She's crying. And she says, Ethan's been murdered. Yeah. I just couldn't, you just can't get your head around it.
All 3 siblings attended the Conway School before moving on to Mount Vernon High, where Ethan played on the basketball team and graduated last year. All 3 later decided to attend the University of Idaho. Ethan and his brother were members of the same fraternity.
I know I didn't sleep a lot last night. I'm just thinking of them. We had some good times together.
The Haytons treated the kids like grandchildren. The couple shared these photos from Ethan's mom's Instagram page, this one taken just a few weeks ago at Parents' Weekend. Dave recalls Ethan as smart, athletic, and always respectful. He says all 3 were great kids, and having one of them gone is inconceivable.
I remember last night I woke up several times and I think, gee, I wish somebody would just tell me this is a bad dream. But unfortunately, it's not a bad dream. It's a reality.
Still no word as to a potential motive in these killings, no word as to a potential suspect. However, authorities in Idaho do say that there is no threat to the public. In Conway, Washington, Eric Wilkinson for Creme 2 News.
Well, I'm not on the pause button today like I normally am. I paused it really wonderfully. That man's reaction, I think, is what everybody's reaction is. It's just so senseless. I can't even imagine how they feel. Like the family has came out and said, instantly rumors started, and the family was trying to explain, look, that's not the case. And oftentimes, family will say that and then they find out later, but it really, like, that's been a consistent thing that's been said over and over again, that these kids were all very good kids. They were all, doing what their parents thought, they should be doing. And they were all very pleased. None of them, it's so heartbreaking. It's just senseless. It's so senseless. Yeah. And then continuing to say there's no threat to the public when there's still no suspect named, there's nobody in custody. And that's, like I said, it's a vast area up there. I don't get it either. And you've got 2 huge college campuses right there. What were they thinking? They weren't. Obviously, it rocked everybody. We saw in the first couple of streams we did of this, we saw the what was he, the dean? Was he the dean or president of the student? I don't remember exactly his title. I will have to find it, but he got extremely choked up and emotional, and it was heartbreaking to listen to him, because the pain in all these people. I mean, you don't even have to be connected to them, friends. So many of us can relate to the fact that that would be the most, thankfully, most of us cannot relate on a level of getting that phone call, but we can relate on a level of that is possibly and would be the worst day of their lives. That kind of phone call is just, I don't even know how you process it. Dean of Students, thank you. President. Okay. He was some high ranking something, but I think he was the Dean of Students too, or yeah. Okay, let's go.
We've watched this memorial grow all day long, students dropping off flowers and stuffed animals, remembering the 4 young lives that were lost. And there's still a lot of unanswered questions tonight, like how this happened and why.
Like, it's all just shocking and scary. Like, I never would have thought that this would have happened here.
Tonight, yellow crime tape still surrounds the house where 4 young college students were found dead over the weekend, a crime shocking the University of Idaho community. Classes were canceled today, and some students have decided to go on Thanksgiving break early.
a lot of people left last night, and then we were like, I know we were like one of the only ones who like actually stayed here last night. My mom has called me every single hour for like since like 7 a.m. this morning. So yeah, they want me to come home if I don't feel safe.
Moscow police have not said.
She was very, I mean, I know they're college kids and they just kind of keep it moving, but that girl is brave. I don't know. She's right there. I mean, the house is right behind her. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I would have been sleeping in my car somewhere else in a lighted up parking lot somewhere, whatever the case may be. You would not have found me back there. Yeah, crime sleuthing it was. Yeah. It's yeah, that was from Kaylee's room. There's TikToks up about them too. I mean, it's just so sad. That is so 40,000. There's 4 murders, so 40,000 people. And absolutely, I think this whole community is going to feel this for a while. And again, the area that they're from is small towns. Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, Hauser, Hayden, Spokane Valley, I guess you could even put into it. It all runs together, but the kids all play sports together. If you play competition sports, they know each other. They grow up together. It's small town stuff. They move from that area to the university where they're all around people that they've grown up with too. I mean, it's just very connected.
Much about what exactly happened, but they have released the names of the victims. 2 of them, Zana Kernodal, a junior from Post Falls, and Madison Mogan, a senior from Coeur d'Alene, were servers at the Mad Greek restaurant in downtown Moscow. The restaurant posted on Facebook saying the 2 brought so much joy to the restaurant and all they encountered. Mad Greek is now closed, giving staff time to grieve along with the rest of the community. And the university is planning a vigil for the victims. That's taking place at 5 p.m. on Wednesday on the lawn outside the administration building. In Moscow, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Well, the Moscow Police Department hasn't added any new information since they released a press release this morning about the homicide investigation. But a few hours ago, we did speak with the Latah County Coroner. Kathy Mabbitt is calling all four deaths homicides and that the cause of death is likely a stabbing. But we won't know that for certain until the autopsy report comes back and she can make that official ruling. Now, to take that a step further, Latah County contracts its autopsies out to the Spokane County Medical Examiner. And I confirmed this afternoon that Spokane County is in fact conducting the autopsies on the 4 University of Idaho students.
Again, that just goes along with the small areas. They have a county coroner, but they had to, Spokane is north and it's the closest big area. So of course, that's where they were sent for autopsies. Autopsies have been conducted already. We read that report earlier, and I'm sure they will update and go over that again in the presser coming up in 10 minutes. We are going to stop this in a few. We're going to watch a little bit more of it, but then we're going to switch to the presser and then we're going to pick back up. This I thought was very interesting though, because it breaks it down with the verified details on the day. These are the things that are actual facts, not rumors, not speculation as it's unfolded. Granted, the news always doesn't get it right, so they put out misinformation too. But as far as everything, this lines up with what law enforcement has said to this point. The press conference starts in 9 minutes. So we'll watch about 5 more minutes of this, and then I will get my, closest airport too. Yeah, closest big airport. Boise's got a smaller airport, but Spokane's the biggest in that area. Solo, me too. But at the same time, I don't know if they would have scheduled a presser out for that to relieve the immediate, I keep thinking if they had somebody in custody, they would have already released it. And I've been checking the logs of the in custody reports in Kootenai County, which is where Coeur d'Alene is, and then also Latah County, and there's nothing so far with anybody that would match anything like this. Now, granted, they could have him booked in and not have put him in the system yet. Yes, he could be being held, during the investigation. Yes, So fingers crossed, but I'm not very hopeful at the same time. Wait, is it 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time? Do we have another hour? No. Do we? Did I get that wrong? We might. Hold on. I have it saved in my... No, it's... Oh, yeah, it is. We're an hour early. We're an hour early. It says 67 minutes, live in 67 minutes. Did they move it? Wasn't it originally at 3 p.m.? Did they just move it back? There's 554 people waiting already. So I was not the only one that thought it was. Yeah, but you go to the site. Go to University of Idaho. Well, hold on. Let me just switch over here. Hold on. Oh, let me stop this for a minute. Oh, that's me clicking. Yeah, there's nothing there yet. Oh, that's me clicking. Yeah, there's nothing there. Oh, that's me clicking. Hold on. What in the heck? Did they move it back? They had to have moved it back because well, we've got plenty of time and we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. So we'll just keep it moving.
The world needs solution.
Don't mean to hurt your ears. Yeah, hold on. Let me show you what I'm seeing now. Oh, let me take that away. You can see it moved back. They moved it back. Oh, well. You guys are just stuck with me. That's right. Yinzi, I forget this. It stops. It separates. Yep. Idaho is separated, and I always forget that. Oh, you're in Idaho. Yeah, Pacific Standard Time. Okay. Because it does separate. Southern Idaho, like Boise is on Mountain Standard Time and Moscow is on Pacific Standard Time. I forget that too because it's always an hour difference between the two of them. And when they're reporting, I'm always confused at the time frames because one comes on after the other. Like the news from Moscow comes out an hour different. I forget that. Sorry. A boat to his cottage. Yeah, it's a beautiful, these are beautiful areas. Like, that's what I'm saying. It is a gorgeous area, but when shit happens, it's never good. It's always like these super traumatic cases. Okay, let me go back to what we were doing before. Sorry, y'all. You get to sit with me a lot longer than we thought. Sorry. That's called user error. Don't mind me. Y'all know that I'm just a mess over here. Let's go back. Library.
Students.
Oh, hold on. I'm figuring out how to share all these things, though. Ta-da, we're back. Okay. Yeah. Who knew this? Sorry, Nanya. I know, and I know this too, and I didn't even think about it. I should, as you guys know, I've said it numerous times. I have a very personal interest in this. Like, I'm from the Midwest, obviously, so that's strange. Which part, Peg? There's a lot. Moab. Wait, you mean like Truckee, Moab in Wyoming? Yeah, exactly. That's So you know exactly where my brain goes on this stuff. You know exactly, because you know this area. You just said, you know, you had Mad Greeks in your area. This is, are you kidding me? Same time zones, time change, everything. Okay, let's go back into it. Thank you all for being here, by the way. If I didn't say hi when you came in, if you're new here, thank you for coming in and hanging out. I'm not really a true crime channel. This is just something that we get in rabbit holes. And this was a case that the Tessas and I all were like really interested in. We started talking about it and we were like, you know what, let's put the facts out there, because there's so much rumor and speculation that is unnecessary. By the tragedy pimps. Pugs. But are you I think where you're at confuses me the most on time zones, because I'm always like, that's not East Coast up in parts of like the north up there. I'm like, that's really not considered East Coast in my mind. But then I'm like, whatever. I have to add every time I'm trying to figure out time zones. Let's just put it that way. 6 a.m. in Western Australia. See, I would never be able to keep up with y'all.
Spokane County spokesperson says the medical examiner has not yet started those autopsies. Once they are done, the medical examiner will forward her recommended findings to the Latah County coroner. And the Moscow Police Department or the Latah County coroner will release the official ruling. Now, this afternoon, when we talked to the coroner, she described a gruesome crime scene.
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was a very sad scene.
Mabit adds that she does not believe the toxicology report on each of the 4 University of Idaho students will be relevant to the manner or cause of death. Now, Mabit has been the county coroner for 16 years in Latah County. She says in that time, there have been at least 2 other multiple homicide scenes that she's been involved in. But she says this current homicide investigation is the only one she's been to where there are 4 people at one scene. Now, we are continuing to press local authorities like the Moscow Police Department, as well as the Latah County prosecutor. I have made multiple calls into their offices yesterday and today, have not got a call returned from either agencies. Now, we know there are University of Idaho students, their families, and the greater Moscow community, many of which are still concerned for their safety, even though the police department says there is no active threat to the community. So that is why we remain here in Moscow pressing for answers. And once we do get those, we'll continue to keep you updated. Reporting in Moscow, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
2 of the 4 University of Idaho students who died on Sunday, Xana and Maddie, both worked here at Mad Greek Restaurant. The restaurant has closed its doors for now, and they have also put out a memorial for all 4 of those students. Tucked inside a Main Street restaurant bench is a memorial catching the community's attention, including Annalise Mitchell. She's a sophomore at University of Idaho.
I just wanted to kind of take a moment to remember them.
Annalise is one of many students struggling to process the death of 4 fellow classmates.
It's been surreal, devastating, horrific, honestly.
Annalise knew the 4 students from the university's Greek life.
When I did talk to them, they were just nothing but kind and nothing but bright and positive, and they definitely made an impact on everyone that they've met.
Now, as classes resume today, many students are leaving campus.
I mean, I wonder why people are leaving campus. I wonder why. And what's really interesting to me is that the media hasn't really been making it known that, well, some outlets are, I guess. There's a couple that have talked about it, about Pullman being right there in the University of Washington, or not University of Washington. What am I saying? Definitely not the UW. Washington State. It is 10 miles away. 10 miles away. And they acted like, oh, class can go back to session on Tuesday. Like, people they're scared, rightfully so. The community is upside down. Yeah, Mochus, I think that they do. Yeah, Lucy, go home. All of you kids, go home. They've given you all passes to go home. Please go home and be with your family. Like, it's just sad. Oh, are you guys talking about the Shanquilla story? That is absolutely horrifying. It is so sad.
People can't even focus on their schoolwork. Like my sisters and I, we've tried to do our homework and
Oh, Crime Sleuth, and you missed it. We just determined that Idaho separates, so we're an hour early. So we will be watching it in an hour, well, 58 minutes, but nonsense in the time zones screwed up. So I'm sorry, we've got 58 minutes. You can come back if you want. I'm sorry. Oh, none yet. Oh, none yet. Yeah. There's a whole lot there that we could talk about with that one, but let's continue on this one. But for those of you waiting for the press conference, I'm sorry. Again, didn't mean to provide misinformation. Come back in 57 minutes if you don't want to hear what we talk about. If you've already seen all this stuff, if you want to come back and join us, please do. We will be streaming it in 57 minutes.
it's not possible.
Annalise says for her friends that are still here, she's just being supportive.
Nothing will be the same. At least we're all here for each other and just remembering.
But that community doesn't take away the pain.
Just angry, honestly, because again, it's 4 people. It's 4 people that have touched so many lives and have touched my friends, and to see them in such grief and suffering, it just makes me angry.
In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, Crumb 2 News.
It's not something you ever expect to hear.
Through the tears and shock, Jim and Stacy Chapin described the moment they found out their son Ethan was gone.
It's not a call that you think that you're going to have to speak with the funeral home directors and the FBI and have it hit national news.
Earlier this week, Moscow police identified Chapin as one of the 4 victims killed in the home just off campus. Stacy and Jim said their son was staying with his girlfriend at the house, who was also killed, Xana Kernodle. So far, police haven't released many details about the investigation, and as questions mount, the Chapins say they wanted to make sure Ethan's story was told.
It's important for us to get Ethan's story out. We don't really want anybody else representing him. And it's hard to have people speaking on his behalf. So we think it's best for us to do this.
He's the kind of kid that everybody wanted to be around. You know, he was just a good kid.
He's a good kid.
That
kind to all.
Didn't deserve what happened.
No.
They say Ethan was a triplet. He and his siblings were extremely close. In fact, they all decided to attend the University of Idaho. Jim says Ethan was an athletic kid who played club soccer and refereed youth sports. His smile, he says, lit up a room, and he made friends wherever he went. They had just spent last weekend at the university for Parents' Weekend.
And as we pulled out of Moscow, we literally were like, we've done it. We've literally done it as parents. We've created 3 incredible humans that will go on and have something great to offer to this world. Honestly, all 3 of them.
A week later, as they grapple with this.
I don't know if everybody's seen the full interview that they did. If you haven't, maybe we'll watch it at the end of this or if we have time. But that interview with the family is very important. If you haven't seen the full thing, again, we'll have time to play it before the press conference. But his parents speak about the rumors and stuff that had already happened like 24, 48 hours into this. And things were starting to be said that were, crazy because of social media. And they have really tried. They made a decision to do the interview, to tell his story, to advocate for him, to, try to get the truth out there. And I commend all of these family members who have been trying to find answers. I know that law enforcement there has been speculation that some of the involvement on some of them could actually be a hindrance, but thankfully they will handle it as necessary. And the families just they just want answers. I mean, you can't blame them at all. I don't think any of us, they're triplets. They're actually triplets, pugs. Idaho doesn't have the lowest crime rate in the US. I would be interested by that. Maybe murders and stuff, but drug crimes, property theft, drug crimes are probably the highest thing in Idaho, I would say. That's what I would say. Yeah, they are. Hey, T. Dunaway, welcome. Yeah, they're all triplets, y'all. They're triplets. It's absolutely horrifying.
This horrific loss. They say they're determined to keep moving forward for Ethan.
But we will not let this sink us or sink our kids, because if anything, they have to go on and shine Ethan's bright light on their own.
Moscow Police Chief James Fry, University of...
Think about that. Just think about that timeline. This happened on Sunday. They didn't make a press conference or release anything until Wednesday. I mean, they had released a statement and stuff, which I know they were gathering. And he says, I should have been here, but now I'm here. Like, I should have been here before, but basically I can't go back and redo it, but I'm here now, is what he tells the media. And, you know, again, like, I feel for law enforcement in this situation, because this is not something in that area that I'm sure they ever anticipated to see in their careers. He said he has worked for Moscow for 27 years, I think is what he said. 27 years. So, I mean, this is not something that thankfully happens very often, but I just feel for all of them. I don't know, Anne. I really would like to know the delay on reporting it. Why did they opt to not? Was it just lack of experience? That's what I feel. But at the same time, I wonder, you know, I just don't know. Solo, I feel you. I feel you. Risa, is it Risa or Rissa? It's Rissa, isn't it? I've been paying attention to your comments some, and love always wins. I agree.
Idaho President Scott Green and the Director of Idaho State Police, Colonel Kendrick Wills, all spoke at today's press conference. Before Wednesday's press conference, Moscow police had only told the public the 4 students were found dead inside the home late Sunday morning. Wednesday, they revealed that all 4 victims were stabbed to death. Chief Fry says 2 other roommates were at the home during the attack, but were not injured, and he is not calling them witnesses. He said they were also home when police arrived at the house. Fry did not say why the call to police was not until noon on Sunday, when the attack happened in the early morning hours. Police said it appeared to be a targeted attack, but did not explain why. Moscow police have also been saying that
I wish we knew exactly what date this is from, because this is what I was talking about, the heavy frost. But still, if you look at where the doors are, he or she, we don't know. It doesn't look like they would have hit snow or frost, because it looks like there's pavement and potentially concrete or something on the other side that leads up to the sliding glass doors behind the police cruiser. I think there's a solid surface there too. So potentially could have missed all snow, frost, grass, you know, stuff like that, in my opinion. What do you guys think of that? Am I wrong on thinking that he or she, excuse me, they could have, I mean, they've said that they feel it's one at this point in time, but we really don't know. Well, they haven't really been clear. They've said people, and then most people have said one, but Mocus, I agree. I agree with you on that. Oh, you guys are talking about survivor's guilt. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine those poor girls. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. There's a delay, of course. Oh, you guys are talking about the triplets.
That they do not believe there is an ongoing threat to the community. But today, the tone changed. Police say the search for a suspect continues and people should look out for each other. Meantime, we found this video from a Moscow food truck that's from early Sunday morning. It shows two of the students, Kaylee and Maddie, ordering food around 1:40 a.m. This is one of the last times they were seen. Moscow police say this video is helping investigators recreate a timeline of events from that night.
And it has helped. It gives us a time and space where we know that two of our victims were, and that helps us a ton, and we'll continue to follow up all leads that we can.
The family of Kaylee Gonsalves have seen the video and agreed to let us publish it. They identified Maddie Mogan wearing the long black jacket and Kaylee, who is with her, in the white sweatshirt.
It's normally a place where everyone feels really safe.
Joseph Woodall is the manager of the...
So, like right there, media made a mistake. She's wearing a gray sweatshirt. I know it's little details, but in details like things like this, it's important. Her sweatshirt is a light gray, a heather gray, not white. Because there's a lady in a white jacket too. So people have been getting everybody confused. But she's in the gray sweatshirt and the jeans with the holes in the knees.
The grub truck. He is seen in the video working the cash register, taking the girl's order. This afternoon, he described their interaction with me.
One of the blondes was just a little bit more cheery and kind of bouncing around a little bit more. And then one was like standing there and doing the hello, how are you? And goes through the interactions. And normally that's pretty normal. In most of our groups, there's people that are more energetic and people that are managing the energetic people.
Joseph told me he felt incredibly sad when he learned the news about the girls he had just seen the other night.
Hope they find the person. Hope they get the person.
What? After postponing a vigil earlier in the week, the university invited students and the public to a free basketball game. What? What does that, like, why not encourage students to go home? Granted, they resumed classes on Tuesday and gave people the option, but I had no idea that they hosted a free basketball game in the midst of this. Maybe, it was in hopes to find more people, talk to more people. But to me, that feels odd. I don't understand. Yeah, I'm blown away by some of this. But again, nothing shocks me up there. I've talked about it numerous times. There's a few murders up there that have gone unsolved or been horrific crimes, and they just kind of sit. Yeah. And I've seen comments about people thinking it's more than one. I personally, in my opinion, I feel it's only one person. In my opinion, and I will just be very clear about what my opinion is based on what we know so far, I get the feeling of more of a stalker situation, stranger to them. Maybe one of them didn't even know they were being stalked. That's just my opinion at this time, but that's based on just what we've all heard. Like, everybody is entitled to their own opinions, of course, and we're all just kind of watching it all play out. Hopefully we get some, yes, insensitive as hell. Insensitive as hell. The one thing I do find interesting that they keep saying is they feel it was one knife. And maybe, again, maybe somebody had this multiple of the same knives with them, and not to be too graphic or gory. So trigger warning for anybody that is easily triggered, please mute me for a minute. But with a knife and stabbing a blade, and the blades on the knife that they're looking at, the tactical knives that they've been showing, has a thicker blade. Now, I'm not a blade expert. I am not a knife expert by any means, but like fillet knives for like when you're filleting fish or, gutting a fish, they're thin, they're skinny, they move a lot. These tactical knives are solid ass knives, thicker blades. In my opinion, I would think it would dull a lot faster. So how could one knife be used on all four? Again, this is just speculation in my head of what I've been thinking, but that's been a confusion for me. And a lot of times in stabbings, yes, they usually break. A lot of them, they break. Yeah, the tactical knife. Have you guys not seen one of those knives in real life, what they're talking about? We have one in the garage. In fact, I went and took pictures of it and was talking to the Teslas about it the other day, because they are thicker, they're solid, and then they have the rip part at the closer to the handle. Yeah, and hope that's the other thing too. It's been hunting season. It is hunting season. That I don't know anybody from those areas that doesn't have a knife like that. Isn't K-Bar a manufacturer? Yes, it is. And I don't know what led them to think that specific one. They haven't really said. The knife is like the Rambo one. The Rambo had, if you saw. Yeah, Daphne. Yeah, they're all very tactical. Like they're big. They hang in a sheath usually. Like they don't fold up. They're solid blade knives. There actually is a knife manufacturer out of Post Falls, Idaho too. There's a manufacturing plant there that does make knives and stuff too. That was something that I was thinking about too. I was like, that's really interesting, considering the girls are, I mean, they're all from that area, but there's just a lot of possibility. You know, anybody could have a knife like that up there.
Definitely a somber mood at tonight's game. Quite a few empty seats in the student section as well. A lot of them have gone home early for Thanksgiving break, but we talked to students that decided to stick around. They were at tonight's game and they told us they were happy the university didn't cancel this, gave them a chance to see some of their friends, classmates, and somewhat sense of normalcy. A lot of them telling us they won't feel entirely safe on campus until this murderer is caught.
Basketball fans, at this time, we ask that you please stand and join us in a moment of silence for the 4 University of Idaho students that were tragically taken from us on Sunday.
The names of the 4 students found murdered inside a home near campus were read aloud before tonight's game. The Moscow community still in shock.
Definitely like a ghost town here. Weird seeing everyone just pack up and leave.
Like many other students, Jessica Jacobs and Asha Cummings haven't been going to class and say they don't feel as safe alone or on campus as they did a week ago.
The only reason we're still here is because we had a little trip planned going opposite of our homes, but you know, we've been staying together every night, trying to stay as safe as we can, but we definitely aren't going to go home early.
A question of safety is on everyone's mind right now.
During a press conference this afternoon, University of Idaho officials said they've increased campus patrols and students can request a security escort across campus day or night. The university is also excusing all absences.
That if they want to leave and go home now, they absolutely can. We're going to support them in doing so.
Classes were canceled the day after the 4 bodies were found, but resumed on Tuesday. School officials say some students want to keep their minds occupied.
They gain comfort in being around their other students. They gain comfort from interacting and staying busy with their faculty.
I'm happy they're still doing it, and we're here to support our teams, so we're happy to be here. Lucky that we still get to come to this and feel safe here.
And the university has postponed a candlelight vigil until after Thanksgiving break in order to give as many students that want to attend the opportunity to. That's scheduled for sometime on November 30th. In Moscow, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
So part of me now, after watching the basketball, the crowd and stuff, there's probably also a lot of kids that don't really have anywhere to go home to at the holidays. There is a lot of kids that don't go home at the holidays. So I guess in the meantime, yes, do I feel it's insensitive and a little odd? Yeah, but it's also providing a place for people who normally don't have a sense of community necessarily, or family or something, to go be a part of something and be in a crowd. So maybe they don't feel as isolated. I don't know. I don't think there's any way to handle this situation correctly. And, I can't even imagine having to make the calls for all of these people involved. But now looking at it, there's very few people there. And there's a lot of people kind of sitting off by themselves. So that was my instant thought, was at least it's giving an opportunity for these people who don't have a community to have somebody. Is there a lot of international students that go to school there? There's a few. It's not a huge international community. No. I think WSU actually has a bigger international students there than at the U of I. Is there a type of glove that would protect the murderer's hand from cuts? April, that's a good question. But yeah, cancel all tragedy pimps. You know, I feel the same way. A glove, in my opinion, no. Again, that knife has, I mean, maybe you could. Does anybody here, I know most of my audience is females, but has anybody hunted before? Does anybody have, I know a few of you said your husbands have these types of knives or whatever. If you have one of these knives, go look at it and look at the blade. By the handle, there is serrated edge. It's a thicker blade. In my own opinion, considering I would think he or she would have moved fast and swiftly, I think they would have been cut. Do I think a glove could have prevented that? I don't know what type of glove you would use to prevent that, because I really don't, I don't think so. I don't think a glove would help. Yeah, but even then, like when you're cutting stuff, you can still cut fingerless gloves. That could be. That's a good question. And the other thing that is going to be a thing, they've pretty much said it, is because of the amount of traffic in and out of the house, and you know, it being a popular home and people being in and out, there's going to be a lot of DNA from other people in the presence of all of this stuff. So they will have to go through and separate a lot of things out. Yeah, it's a solid blade. It doesn't move at all. It's shark proof. Yeah, some of them are like, it's hard to explain it, and I could go get it, but then I would have to turn my camera on, and I'm not doing that. Blood is slippery. See, that's Pugs. That's where my brain goes, is in my opinion, it would be somebody doing it swiftly, angrily, you know, with a lot of anger. And in my head, I can't see somebody not slipping after 4 people. Like, I don't know. But hopefully we will find out more soon. April, I agree. Commander, I agree with that too. I agree with that. Focus, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I think it's a hunter. I really think it's somebody that has, that's a very, I mean, yes, it's common in that area, but to use that type of knife in this type of, I don't know, it seems like somebody that's familiar with that type of weaponry. I don't know. But something to me says something about possibly that they've hunted before or have knowledge of knives, you know, things like that. Why they selected this specific one, I mean, it seems like it's been planned out, in my opinion. Again, that's speculation and we don't know, but it seems like it was planned out some way, shape, or form. This wasn't just a knife that he grabbed off the counter, it doesn't sound like.
The Spokane County Medical Examiner finished the autopsies yesterday and sent them over to the Latah County Coroner. With that, the coroner sent out this. You can see here at the bottom of the document, cause of death, homicide, murder, and manner of death is stabbing. Moscow PD says whoever did this used a large knife. We also learned yesterday Idaho State Police say investigators think the killer got in the house through the sliding glass door. ISP says the forensic team is taking.
Okay, I thought that had been something that was said. So the sliding glass door on the side of the house that we all seen, that's where they assume was the entry point. So therefore, the rooms, that front door there would have been avoided. It would have been the side of the house. If that makes sense where everybody is at. Yeah, I don't think that none of these kids are hunters. I think potentially maybe whoever did it has some sort of knowledge with weaponry or something. That's my opinion. Farm kid, very, 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 very likely could be. Like there's a lot of, I would like to see the profile that they're putting, like what they put together and that would be really intriguing to see what they are profiling it as. The food truck would have knives, but nothing like this, in my opinion. Again, these aren't knives to cut food with. You can, but that's not. Haley, yes, you can buy some of them at Walmart. You're back. I see you.
Taking another look at the house to make sure they didn't miss any details.
We intend to come out and solicit information from the public if they are within certain areas that we believe are of interest for this investigation. And so hopefully today or early tomorrow, we will come out with a map where the victims were at specific times during the night and ultimately ending at their residence.
The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit is now helping in the investigation. They do crime analysis, create suspect profiles, and help with interview strategies. ISP says an FBI command vehicle is on its way to bring.
So that's the door that they're assuming that somebody entered in the second. They're calling it the second floor and the third floor. Again, it's a weird layout. So people have been saying it's the main floor, which it kind of is the main floor, but what the police are calling the second floor and then the third floor. So it has been said, I think, well, we'll wait for law enforcement to update everything and see what they say. And then we'll talk about more of that because I don't want to see. I can only see this being possible by one person if it was just a clean hit to the vitals and the throat. Yeah, I feel that this is one person. I definitely don't feel like there was more than one involved. Again, I could be wrong, but I just don't. It feels like two people would have left more behind in a way. Like this feels very one person to me. Yeah, so I agree. They had to have known the layout. They had to have known, and again, we don't know the intended victims. We don't know who they were after. I'll be frank, and I said it again, I just have this nagging thing in the back of my head that it's an older person that potentially was stalking one of them, and maybe they didn't even know. That's just my own thoughts. There's nothing behind it. This is just what I am picking up from all of this. I would love to hear what you guys are thinking too. Again, we're speculating within reason without causing more rumors and damage to all these kids that all these social media people are claiming that they had to have known. They could not have heard it. They're in on it. Oh, that person's guilty because his body language, and all this stuff. He looked like the annoying friend. And we've gone through that. And law enforcement is clearing all of these people as they're going. So. Yeah, Peg, that's the confusing part right there. That's the part of my theory that I just can't get over because unless, I can't understand that. There's a lot of questions, we all have a bunch. Kill Bill type, yeah. Lots of trees in that area. A lot of trees and woods, yes.
Bring Moscow up more resources. As for the other two roommates who were home during the attack, ISP says they are cooperating with investigators. They are not suspects or persons of interest as of now, but ISP says nobody is clear from the investigation yet. In the newsroom, Nicole Hernandez, Crime 2 News.
Earlier this evening, the University of Idaho released a statement urging students to be vigilant. For those that are still here, security will increase over this weekend. Moscow police say patrols have also ramped up around the community. The school district says patrols will monitor the area around its schools. Idaho State Patrol is helping with this extra police presence. People I spoke with in the community today are less concerned about their own safety and more focused on making sure the suspect or suspects are found.
In your 70 years of living in this area, would you ever have thought that something like that could happen?
No, really. No.
I definitely was shocked and a little scared, but at the same time, I do have a feeling that the person who did this was somebody that they knew, and so I wasn't personally afraid.
This morning, I noticed quite a few more law enforcement just out and about. I'm really grateful for them.
People say they're thankful Moscow PD are calling on the necessary agencies to help protect the community and figure out what exactly happened on Sunday. In a press conference yesterday, we learned from the Moscow Police Chief, James Fry, that the department has called on 25 plus investigators, the state police, and FBI to assist in solving this case. The Moscow Police Department maintains that this was a targeted attack. For that reason, the people I spoke to say they don't personally feel a threat in the community. But like said, the University of Idaho is reminding people here to remain vigilant and provide any and all information you can to Moscow police. In Moscow, Janelle Finch, Crime 2 News.
Let me be also clear why a lot of these people, like the adults, the older adults, are probably feeling a little bit more safe. I don't really know if there's many homes in Idaho that don't have weapons in them. It is a very, very pro-gun state. And most of them do have hunting rifles on the farm. Like there's a lot of farmland around there. Most of these people have weapons on them. Granted, the college kids, that's a different story. So they interviewed a bunch of adults who, you know, Idaho is a lot of like, try us kind of things. And we're talking about college kids. So I wish they would have kind of gotten that a little bit different, because the kids are feeling a lot different than these established adults in the community. I do too. I still think an older person.
People across the country want to know what happened inside this home and why. For those living in Moscow, there's still a lot of fear and uncertainty. And how could there not be? 4 young college students were stabbed to death, and their killer still hasn't been caught. Ever since the yellow crime tape went up, the Moscow Police Department has faced scrutiny for not providing as much information about the case as some would like to know.
You know, there's some things that only the people that were at that scene would know. And so you definitely don't want to release that information to the public.
Gary Jenkins is the former chief of Pullman Police and now serves in that role for the WSU Police Department. He says sharing details is a balancing act, keeping people safe and informed without compromising the investigation.
Just trying to make sure that when detectives go out and interview people, it's based on what they know, not what they've heard on the news.
The University of Idaho told students this week they could go home early for Thanksgiving break if they didn't feel safe around campus, and many already have. Jenkins says that could pose a challenge for detectives trying to interview witnesses. It was for him during the hazing death of Sam Martinez, which also occurred right before Thanksgiving break in 2019.
Most of the witnesses left town, and that's the type of investigation you need to have a one-on-one in-person interview.
Just to be clear again, this is right on the Idaho-Washington border. He's from WSU, which is 10 miles away from U of I, like we said before. So at least, you know, they are being vigilant and aware of the situation, but I still, like, it just blows my mind how some of this has gone on. But again, I'm not in their shoes, so it's hard to judge.
Interview. And so it does definitely complicate that investigation.
Jenkins says the answers all of us want could take time.
They're trying to juggle a lot of balls in the air right now, particularly with 4 victims. It's going to be a very complex crime scene. It's going to be a complex investigation.
New details are emerging in the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. Tonight, the Latah County coroner says the 4 students were likely asleep. Some had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times. Authorities found no sign of sexual assault.
Moscow police say at this point in the investigation, they do not believe the 2 surviving roommates or the man seen standing near a local food truck were involved in the murders. Police also addressed rumors swirling online claiming the victims were gagged and tied, saying those are not accurate, and the identity of the 911 caller has not been released. Detectives say they've received nearly 500 tips, which are being processed, investigated, and cleared. 38 people who may have information about the murders have been interviewed. The whereabouts of the killer and the knife used are still unknown. Detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road to look for evidence. Police have also gone to local businesses to see if anyone recently purchased a fixed blade knife. Anyone who saw something suspicious, has video surveillance, or can provide relevant information about the murders is asked to call the Moscow Police Department.
Investigators are still trying to piece together where the 4 University of Idaho students went the night before they were found in their Moscow home, stabbed to death. Investigators are hoping the map released today will provide additional tips from the community.
The map details the night of Saturday, November 12th into the early hours of Sunday, November 13th. It highlights locations and approximate times when Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Mogan were in downtown Moscow, while Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were at the Sigma Chi house. Investigators believe Madison and Kaylee were at the Corner Club on Saturday from 8 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Sunday. Then they were at the Grub Truck on Main Street at 1:40 a.m. 5 minutes later, the map says they returned to their home on King Road. I drove that route this afternoon, starting at 4th and Main and ending at the King Road home. With some light traffic on the road, I arrived at the house in about 3 minutes. This suggests it's reasonable to believe Madison and Kaylee traveled by car from the food truck, but that detail has not been confirmed by police. Investigators also say Ethan and Xana were at a party at Sigma Chi from 8 to 9 p.m., then returned to the home on King Road at 1:45 a.m. The fraternity is a short 3-minute walk from the house, but still, there is a 5-hour gap on their location between the party and arriving at home. Investigators hope someone might remember being at or near the locations they've identified around the same time and potentially saw something suspicious or relevant to.
So that is the timeline that they've been working with at this point in time. We'll finish this in just a minute, but does anybody want me to rewind that? Does anybody want to look at that map again? Let me know. Again, this is like the first case like this I've talked about on here. So yes, they actually requested all of that. Sorry, I had to go get a Diet Coke. And yes, it's a Diet Coke. It's not a beer. I don't drink. Mocha's me too. Me too. It's usually older people. I mean, again, in that area, no, it's not actually. No, it's not. It's everything. Everybody has knives like that. And even if they didn't have a knife like that, a lot of their parents probably would. Oh, did I freeze? No, I'm not frozen for once.
To the investigation, police are asking those people to call the tip line or.
Okay, so here's the map. Let's look at that for a second. Papa Top. Yep. If you need a drink, join me with the Diet Coke. It's time. Look at that map though, okay? So 10:30 to 1 a.m. they're at the Corner Club. Then they go to the food truck. They're home by 1:45. Ethan and Xana, 8 to 9 p.m. they're at the party. And then they arrive home at 1:45. There's gaps. There's big gaps here. And a bigger one in Ethan and Xana, it seems, than Solo, right? Yep. Can you imagine like looking over your shoulder at all times? It's odd for sure. But the map, I mean, it shows you like this is not a very big location. It's not like they were across town. It's not like these big, huge towns with these big, huge campuses, like small town. I mean, a big campus, big university for that area, but small area, like still very small area. And there's so much I have questions on. Got your ginger ale. Perfect. Yes. So I grew up hunting. I don't anymore, just so we're clear, but that's why a lot of this stuff is very, to me, it seems very, I don't know. It fits a pattern of something. I just can't put my finger on it yet. And that's honest. Like I keep thinking older man. 6 people in the house at the time, 4 were murdered. 6 people in the house, 4 were murdered. 2 on the 2nd floor and 2 on the 3rd floor. Is that correct? 2 on the 2nd, 2 on the 3rd. I don't think they've actually stated the location of each person yet. Yeah, cancel all tragedy pimps. That's where I keep getting stuck because I've actually heard other people state that they think a lot of people thought Kaylee or Maddie was initially the target because of the grub truck stuff, which they could be. We don't know yet. Hopefully, again, we'll find out in about 17 minutes, more information. But that gap right there of them leaving them from 8 to 9 and then not, there's so much. No, it doesn't sound that way, Solo. There's so much confusion in the timeline of where everybody was. They're saying that the other 2 roommates that survived, the survivors, and again, you guys, please be kind. I know that a lot of you have strong beliefs that they had to have heard something, but all the experts are saying that that's very possible that they didn't. And I tend to believe the experts more than social media rumors, but I digress. But please be kind. These kids are going through horrible tragedies that are going to affect them the rest of their lives. Can you imagine walking into a scene like that and knowing that you were in the house? One room, Ethan and Xana, is where the blood came from in the pigs. Yeah, I know that so far they are cleared, but if there's a plot twist in the end, I'll be shocked. Me too. Yeah, and they've been they're becoming more and more vocal about certain ones that they're ruling out because of social media rumors. It was confirmed today that the call to 911 was made from within the house by one of the roommates.
Or email with that information.
This is all good information, but it brings up even more questions, such as, did investigators use the students' cell phones to identify the locations and times on this map? Did Madison and Kylie walk or drive or get a ride back to the home? And did Xana and
I just have to correct it again. Madison and Kaylee, not Kylie. She says Kylie there, but it's Kaylee, which that happens. I do it too.
Ethan spend only 1 hour at the Sigma Chi fraternity. I have several calls into Idaho State Police and other local authorities working this investigation. I have not heard back, but we will continue to press for answers as this story develops. Reporting in Moscow, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Okay, so that was that one. Let's go back over here. We're going to go up here, go out for a minute. Just a second, y'all. I'm looking for something. That kind of brings us up to speed. So by what the media has released on the days that they've released them. There was one back here. Oh, I'm going to play this one. This is from the sister. Oh, no. We're going to go here.
Can you first just tell me how you...
Hold on. Sorry, let me go back. Share the screen with y'all. This is an interview with King 5, I think. Is it King 5? Yeah. With Ethan's family, and pay attention to the end of it. I'll probably fast forward through. Well, maybe not. We'll probably have time to get through it. Okay, let's go.
you guys are doing?
That's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
It's not something you ever expect to hear, ever. Like the call we took from our kids who were there, and you just expect to outlive your kids. Honestly, I don't know. We're just trying to process it. It's not a call that you think that you're going to have to speak with the funeral home directors and the FBI and have it hit national news. I mean, we're more concerned, Ethan was a triplet, and that's a big thing. There's a couple of things. Ethan was a triplet, and that's the most important thing for us because we have these other two kids that are very impacted by this, and they need to be lifted up and cared for. And I think the other thing that's important to us is the reason why we've agreed to do this is, number one, you're local. And number two, it's important for us to get Ethan's story out. We don't really want anybody else representing him. And it's hard to have.
That's super important. They don't want anybody else representing him the way it should be. That's his parents speaking. People should respect that. But unfortunately, as we know, that does not happen. And again, they're from Western Washington, and this is a Western Washington-based media organization that they have done this interview with.
People speaking on his behalf, so we think it's best for us to do this.
And you did say, of course, that he was a triplet, and looking through the pictures you said, like you said, they seem to be always together. I mean, they all go to high school and then college together also?
Elementary, high school, everything, college, they all went to the same university. Yeah, I mean, everything. We travel, we play, we hike, everything we do is all of us together. I mean, we're a pretty tight family.
Did you say that they were the ones that called you about this happening?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then are you guys all back?
That was something I picked up right away. They said that their two other children is who called them to let them know. Their kids called them. I cannot even imagine waking up and being one of the triplets that morning. Like, that just broke my heart. This interview it's hard to watch. So I should have given a trigger warning with it too, but this is definitely raw emotion from family. Hey, Navy, before I unmute. Sorry, I muted and then I was like, oh, scroll back down, unmute myself, say hi. Hey, Commander.
Together now.
We are.
Yeah, we're in our home in Northern Idaho, our summer home. We're going to be here for a couple days just to regroup a little.
Yeah.
Can you just tell me a little bit about Ethan? I think I was told he was very athletic. I think he played basketball and tennis or basketball. Just tell me a little about his interest. What did Ethan like to do?
Anything. You name it, he played it, literally. I think we just watched a thing from the university, spike ball champion, volleyball champion. I mean, right? I mean, he just literally would play and do anything. He played club soccer for years. We traveled, all of our kids are athletic, and we traveled every weekend, and he was involved in anything. He just literally, he
just loved to play everything.
He did. He loves sports. I mean, our love language with him was sports. Like, I literally watched, I follow like NFL football so that I can literally have a conversation with Ethan, because I could, send him a text message, and, that was I don't know, just everything. I don't know, that and country music. I mean, he's funny. He literally, we were trying to have a conversation really quickly about our favorite memory. We can't come up with one. I mean, he literally lit up every room, everybody. He was friend to all. He was an incredible human. I mean, one of a kind, popular. I mean, not that that matters, but.
This is heartbreaking. The mom, like, to hear her, she followed NFL football just to have, that was something that he liked, and she knew it. So in order to continue conversations with him, she followed football so she could keep up on stuff to keep involved in his life. Like, how much more can you ask? This is like one of those, just every time you turn around, you realize how much more senseless this was. These were kids on the path of doing amazing things. And it's just senseless. It is senseless. That is the perfect word for this. Her raw emotion takes me to my core, and the dad and him trying to like look up and keep the tears from flowing. Like, I have such mad respect for this family, such mad respect for this family. And you know what? They did it because they are representing their son. They want to speak for their son. They don't want everybody else doing it. They don't want all these rumors out here. They want to tell his story because he's a part of them.
I don't know. I think we believe that if you literally asked anybody in his life, anybody, they would tell you the same exact thing. I mean, I just got an email from his counselor at college, and he just said, I love that kid the minute I met him. He literally walked in my office last week, and it was just simply to say hi. He had a huge smile. The whole, like, you know, the feeling inside of the office changed just because he walked in. He always had something funny to say. That's been something we've talked a lot about. I mean, he was definitely the comedian of the three kids. He kept us all, I mean, we have the funniest videos of him.
He's the kind of kid that everybody wanted to be around. You know, he was just a good kid.
He's a good kid.
That
kind to all.
Didn't deserve what happened.
No.
And wasn't he going to school to study? So it was something to do with sports, wasn't it?
Sports management, I think. I don't know the technical title of it. But yeah, I mean, we told him he should go be a teacher and a coach. I mean, he was incredible the way he worked with kids, and he refereed youth basketball on the weekends in Mount Vernon. I don't know, he touched a lot of people. I mean, it's the amount of support that we've seen so far has been incredible. Right? Our neighbors, everybody, it's incredible. I mean, we have messages from people that just are like, I knew him and he was incredible. Our daughter knew him, and all she talked about was how great he was. I mean, it's a huge loss. We were at Parents Weekend last weekend with them, and Jim and I left that weekend. And as we pulled out of Moscow, we literally were like, we've done it. We've literally done it as parents. We've created 3 incredible humans that will go on and have something great to offer to this world. Honestly, all 3 of them. We literally had a conversation that we will no longer have to worry about these kids because we did it.
Hopefully, people can support you guys right now.
It's an interesting situation because in all of your hardships in life, whatever you're going through, there's always an outcome, you get through it, right? Like, I don't know, whatever it is. This is something you wake up and you realize it's never going to go away. And it's very different. It's a very different. 2 a.m. is a dark hour, I can tell you that. We're all.
And I guess just during this time, like I said, you guys seem very tight knit. Are you just what's going forward look like for you? I know that's a hard question right now. I know it seems like you guys are really there supporting each other through this. I think one of the first things that, when we got Maisie and Hunter, one of the first things, that came to me is that our life has literally taken a left turn. And I don't know how that's going to affect us, but we will not let this sink us or sink our kids. Because if anything, they have to go on and shine Ethan's bright light on their own. I think that's the questions I have right now, unless there's anything else you guys wanted to add.
Kids, our kids are here watching. Do you guys have anything you want to add? Hunter or Maisie? He was their number 1, and that's going to be a hard loss for both of our kids, both Maisie and Hunter. I mean, he was kind of each of their number 1. So it's going to be hard just for the 3 of them without him now that they're 2. We've gone from 3 to 2, and it's going to be hard for the 2 kids to figure out how to live life when you've spent 20 years as 3, and now they have to figure out how to be 2 and carry, I don't know. It's terrible. It's important for us. I mean, the reason we've agreed to do this is there's some misinformation out there, and that's been hard for us. And that's why we, as a family, talked about it and agreed to do this, because the things that are being said are 100% not true. There's not drugs involved. There's not some weird love triangle. Ethan stayed the night at his girlfriend's house, who was one of 5 girls who lived in the home. And it's just important that people let the criminal part of it try to work itself out, and that these kids, all of the kids were just really good, great kids. So, I mean, the light of the school, I mean, everybody knew them.
One of them, I believe, was his girlfriend was also killed. Is that correct?
Yes, Xana. Yeah, they were in the same room.
And I think that's all the questions I have. I really do appreciate you guys sharing more about Ethan so we can understand more about him and share more about him with, Western Washington and the community here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's that one. We're going to move on over to the press conference now. I wanted you guys to hear the entire thing with as few pauses as possible. Again, I don't care if I get hit or whatever with them, but the raw emotion and the fact that they're, that it's already happening where so much misinformation is being put out there. And again, we might find out details later that even the parents don't know, but they know these parents were they're very involved. You can tell that they're very involved. They were just with them, all three of their kids at parents' weekend, the weekend before. It just breaks my heart to hear them say, like, we pulled out of the university looking at each other going, we did this. We've created 3 humans and they're good. They're good. And then a week later, for what? Completely senseless. Right, Solo. And, law enforcement, people are becoming more and more frustrated with law enforcement, it seems like, about them not sharing as much and, telling the public as much and all of this stuff. And, well, there's a reason for that, oh, they shut the chat off already for the stream. Hold on. Okay, we're just going to go here. Oops, wrong one. It should be starting any time now, so we'll pull it up and wait for it to go. There's almost 8,000 people waiting. Okay, I'm not going to mute yet. We'll just wait. We're just going to wait for a minute. I'm really sorry for all of you that have lost somebody. I am really sorry. Yes, the other triplets do go to the same university. Okay, I'm going to mute y'all and we're going to watch this together. We'll talk about it at the end. I'm just going to let it play through and not pause it. Oh, and I am going to take notes, so if you hear me moving.
My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. The last spelling of my name is F-R-Y. I'd like to introduce Moscow Police Captain Roger Lanier, Colonel Kendrick Wills of the Idaho State Police, University of Idaho President Scott Green, Dean of Students for the University of Idaho, Blaine Eccles, and Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson. This incident has shaken our community, has continued to shake our community, and we continue to mourn for the victims. We will continue to vigorously pursue the investigation and pursue justice in this case. It is a complex and terrible crime, and it will take some time to resolve. Today, we want to clarify what we know and where we're at in this investigation. Our primary goal is public safety and to get a completion of this case and bring someone to justice. We continue to dedicate all the resources to this investigation. We've had 646 tips received, and all will be processed, vetted, investigated, and cleared. We've done over 90 interviews in this case so far, and the Moscow Police Department is utilizing the assistance from the Idaho State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Latah County Sheriff's Office. The personnel that has been assigned to this from the Moscow Police Department is 4 detectives, 24 officers, and 5 support staff. Federal Bureau of Investigators, we have 22 investigators in Moscow, 20 additional are assigned and located in the Treasure Valley, Salt Lake City, Utah, and West Virginia. We have 2 behavior analysis individuals from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. For the Idaho State Police, we have 20 investigators, a public information officer, ISP forensic services, and a crime scene team. We have 15 uniformed troopers to assist our community to help provide the additional resources for our patrols. Detectives are looking to develop any content that would help us in this event. Anyone who has observed any notable behavior or has any video surveillance or can provide relevant information about these murders, please call our tip line at 208-883-3333. 7180. Or you can email the tip line and that is tipline@ci.moscow.id.us. At this time, I would like to introduce Captain Lanier to give you some additional information.
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Lanier. I'm a captain over the Operations Division for the Moscow Police Department. My last name is spelled Lanier. I just want to first state that this tragic murder has shaken the community. It's been very hard for members of the community, and it's been equally difficult for our officers and for the investigators. We will continue to put all of our resources towards investigating and bringing this to a resolution. Here's what we've determined so far. On the evening of November 12th, Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Morgan were at a local bar and were later at a food truck in downtown Moscow. They arrived home at approximately 1:45 a.m. on the morning of November 13th. Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were at the Sigma Chi house before also arriving home at approximately 1:45 a.m. Two surviving roommates were also out in the community, and they returned home at approximately 1 a.m. and did not wake up until later that morning. On the morning of November 13th at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call was placed to the Whitcomb Dispatch Center reporting an unconscious person. The call originated from inside the residence and was made from the phone of one of the surviving roommates. Moscow Police Department officers responded and located 4 victims, 2 on the 2nd floor and 2 on the 3rd floor. The Latah County Coroner has conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We know that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims who were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times. There was no sign of sexual assault. Investigators have determined 2 areas of interest within the city and have provided maps which are on our Facebook page and on our website. And these are areas that they have canvassed for additional surveillance video and tips and have contacted several residents in the areas. The areas are generally south of Taylor Avenue to Palouse River Drive and west of Highway 95. Detectives have also canvassed several other neighborhoods looking for evidence, looking for additional surveillance video, and contacting residents and speaking to them to see if they may have heard or seen something. I want to address several areas of speculation, conjecture, and misinformation that has circulated on social media platforms and otherwise. We do not believe the following individuals are involved in this crime: the 2 surviving roommates, a male seen at the Grubtruck food vendor downtown, specifically wearing a white hoodie, a private party who provided rides home to Kaylee and Madison in the early morning hour of November 13th. Additionally, the identity of the 911 caller and the 911 call have not been released, so any information out there is speculation about that. Investigators are aware that multiple phone calls from Madison and Kaylee's phone were made to a male subject. Any online reports stating that the victims had been tied and gagged are not accurate. Detectives seized the contents of 3 dumpsters on King Road and searched those dumpsters in an effort to find additional evidence, but nothing of note was discovered. Early in the investigation, local businesses were canvassed in an effort to see if any fixed blade type knives may have recently been purchased. And currently, there are no suspects in custody, and we have not located a weapon. I want to assure you that every investigator involved will continue to put all of their resources and all of our partner agencies' resources into continuing this investigation. We do appreciate the community's support. We understand how stressful it is, and we will continue to work through this situation. At this time, I would like to turn the mic over to Colonel.
Sorry, I just got to say this right quick. We'll go right back to it. But is this, to me, more about clearing up the rumors because of the online speculation and the families' investigations and the articles that they've, or the releases that they've given to like Inside Edition and stuff? It seems like they're more clearing up misinformation than they are updating information. That's my opinion so far. We'll see. But I'm interested to hear what you guys feel.
Wills from the Idaho State Police.
Thank you, Captain. My name is Kedrick Wills, KEDRICKWILLS, and I serve as the Director of the Idaho State Police. And I appreciate your attendance this afternoon as we talk about this horrific, horrific crime. The murders of Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee are a tragic loss to all of us. Nothing we can do will bring back these young lives. But we have an absolute commitment to working together to solve these senseless murders. And the way that we know how to do that is partnerships. And our partnership with the Moscow Police Department, with the Idaho State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the University of Idaho to bring this issue to a conclusion and bring this to justice is absolute. We continue with Idaho State Police resources here on the ground in Moscow and in throughout Idaho. Whatever the needs are, that's where what we want to do. And the chief spoke about the Idaho State Police resources that are here, and he spoke about patrol resources. And we have those uniformed troopers here in Moscow and on the campus of the University of Idaho to help people to feel safe and to provide that security to the people that are here, both in the student body as well as in the community at large. And we will continue to do that as long as is necessary throughout this time. In addition, that's in addition to our forensics team that was here, in addition to our investigative team and all the other state police resources. We know that people want answers. We want answers too. As was already mentioned, this is really, really difficult for those investigators, those dedicated professionals who are investigating this crime. And a lot of people have expressed their desire to help. And the best thing that most of people can do to help is to stop with any kind of rumors and just seek official information that comes out of the Moscow Police Department. Anything that we have that we can share from a law enforcement perspective, we will be sharing just as soon as we can, because that's how we think that we can get this to conclusion. Please rely on official sources of information, and please be patient. I understand that everybody wishes that this was solved already, but these things take time. It takes time to work through. You heard the stats of all the tips and everything, the interviews and everything that's been done. This takes time for our investigators to work through. So please be patient as we work through this investigation. We owe this to these young kids, to these young adults. We owe it to them. And we are absolutely dedicated to make sure that happens. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce the University of Idaho President Scott Green.
Scott Green, President, University of Idaho. Last name spelled Green, like the color. First, we continue to extend our heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of the victims. As stated earlier, we want justice and appreciate the increased resources from the Idaho State Police and FBI that have been brought to bear on this crime. We fully appreciate and share the frustration of our students, employees, parents, and community members who continue to push for answers. While we wait for answers in the investigation, we've ramped up our security safety practices and are listening to students and supporting them in any way possible. The University of Idaho's primary focus now is on supporting our students and working to meet their varied needs. The police continue to inform us that they believe this was a targeted attack, but we recognize this is not good enough for some of our students who will want to complete their semester remotely until the person who committed the crime is in custody. We are also hearing that some students want to be back on campus and in Moscow because they gain comfort from the structure of classes and being with their friends and professors. All reactions and feelings are valid, and we all process these tragedies differently. We're asking instructors to plan for both sets of students as we finish the semester. We will be communicating decisions early this week so that families can discuss and plan their individual response over the Thanksgiving break. We learned a lot during COVID, and we have many course delivery options our faculty can deploy to meet student needs. Student and employee safety remain our priority. We have increased security patrols on campus since we were notified of this off-campus incident. We've also benefited from increased Idaho State Police presence on our campus, which we are grateful for. They have been a very visible force, and they will continue this dedicated presence on our campus into the foreseeable future. Importantly, they have also assigned resources to the community since this crime occurred off campus. In addition to the campus-wide precautions being taken, we offer the following safety and security features in our residence halls. We will continue our Safe Walk, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All residence halls are locked 24 hours a day and only accessible by students that live in the building. All guests must be accompanied by a resident of the building. Each residential community has a dedicated resident assistant staff and a live-in full-time resident director to help ensure a safe environment. Every evening, there are resident assistants that are on duty to perform safety and security rounds in their area, including during fall break. Housing and Resident Life always has at least 2 full-time staff members that are on call to provide support and emergency response 24 hours a day, including over the fall break. And our Learning Center Information Desk Living and Learning Center Information Desk is open 24 hours a day and will be open all of fall break for our students' needs. While we certainly hope there's a swift closure with the arrest of whoever is responsible for this crime, we must also be prepared for all the possibilities, including a lengthy investigation. We must balance safety concerns and the need to grieve, along with the long-term needs of our students and our employees. We're making security our top priority. We are also planning for the very real possibility that some students aren't comfortable returning to campus. We will do our best to meet the needs of all students. Our faculty is working hard over the break to consider alternative delivery methods. We will also continue making counseling services available for all our students and employees as we process our grief. The care and concern for our Vandal family is our primary role, and we take that very seriously. We are a Vandal family. Nothing means more to us than family. And I'd also like to just thank all those for the great outpouring of support we've received from the nation. It's been incredible time, and all those who stand in solidarity with us, just know it means a great deal to us. Thank you.
So we're going to open it up at this time to about 8 to 10 questions. We ask that only 1 question is asked per person, please. And I would also like to just see if there's an Argonaut reporter here. I think it's only fair to give our student reporter the first shot.
Speak up if you're in the room, if you're from the Argonaut. You're from the Argonaut?
Are you from the University of Idaho Argonaut? Is anybody from the University of Idaho Argonaut? Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Ted Williams, Fox News. You all have said that these killings are targeted. Can you share with us why you believe they are targeted killings, and do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
As we stated earlier in the previous press release or press conference, we believe they're targeted because we take a totality of all the circumstances that we're looking at. Do we know any one person that it was targeted? We're not able to say at this point in time due to our investigation, but we still believe that. But we, like I said, we take a totality of everything that we're looking at.
Chief Glenn Mosley, Idaho Public Radio here in Moscow. On the resources, do you have the resources that you need?
We do have the resources. It is an incredible outpouring of what we receive from the Idaho State Police and from the Federal Bureau of Investigations and Latah County. Anything we ask for is given. So at any time, if we need additional, all I have to do is call the colonel, and he will provide that. He's already guaranteed me that, and I know the FBI has said the same thing.
Hi, Emma Epperly from the Spokesman Review. I know you've said you're not going to release who the 911 caller was, but was the killer the 911 caller?
I will tell you no.
Can you clarify, you said it was made from your roommate's phone, but you didn't say the roommate made the call. So did the roommate make the call on the roommate's phone, or can you clarify if it's another individual had the call?
Actually, if we could just go to this one first. So what I'll say to that is it was made from the roommate's call or phone, excuse me. And we're not going to divulge who made that call. It's part of our investigation still, and when we get ready to release that, we will.
Hi, Christina Corbin with Fox News. The male subject whom the women called, has he been ruled out as a suspect or person of interest?
Everything that we have taken from those calls, we have followed up on, we've cleared, and we believe that there's no connection there.
Gotti Schwartz, NBC News. Just following up on the 911 call, you said that you don't believe that's the killer. Can you conclusively rule out the person that called 911 from inside the home as a suspect in this case?
Can you go ahead and just ask that one more time, please?
The person that was inside the home that called 911 that was not one of the roommates, can you conclusively rule that person out as a suspect at this point?
I don't think I said that it wasn't one of the roommates. I said that it was used with the roommate's phone.
I believe somebody asked if that was the killer, and you said no.
No, that's correct. So will you clarify that for me?
You're not confirming a roommate called 911, but they used the roommate's phone. So was there someone else at the home other than those two roommates?
There was other friends that had arrived at the location.
How many?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure at this time, to be quite honest.
Do you guys have any idea if the killer's still within the community, or are you looking outside the community for the killer in terms of their physical location?
We are looking everywhere that evidence would lead us. I can't say if the person's here. I can't say what community the person's in. We're utilizing every resource we can to make that location of that individual. And part of that is the safety of our community is paramount. And that's why we brought in the resource that we brought in to keep our community as safe as we can.
Being so close to the border, does that make it kind of automatically an interstate investigation? Can you comment on that?
I cannot comment on that. I'm not even aware.
If you look in Washington at all, I guess.
We're looking everywhere. I'm going to take two more questions.
Do you still believe this attack was done by one perpetrator? And if so, how does one individual kill 4 people at night and not wake up the other 2 roommates?
Our investigation will continue to look at all avenues of that investigation. I cannot disclose any of that information. I don't even know that information at this point in time, and that's why we're continuing to investigate.
You don't know how this happened without the other 2 roommates hearing it or waking up or noticing?
We do not. One more question.
Hi, Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. In the press release yesterday, you confirmed that the victims were found on the second and third floors of the home. Can you say which of the victims were found where?
I'm not going to go ahead and disclose that information. They were found on the second and third floor. And that's as far as we're going to go with that part of the investigation too, because all those key pieces do come to play later. So we do thank you. We thank you for meeting with us. We thank you for helping get information out. And I can assure you, we will continue to work hard. We will continue to do everything we can to solve this. So thank you.
Is this related to any animal mutilation?
Are you in the toxicology report? Person will strike again.
In terms of ecology, do you think that it could be connected?
Yikes. You can feel the tension in that room. Ugh. I hate to be law enforcement right now because no updates whatsoever. We went over the most recent updates at the very beginning of the stream with the most recent release. Again, Moscow. I've always pronounced it wrong and I will continue to pronounce it wrong. And I can because, well, let's just say I can. I pronounce names of towns the way I want. But there's no new information. They cleared up a bunch of misinformation, speculation, and I feel like this is just going to amplify social media rumors and speculation because what they were trying to ask him, and I'm sure some of you picked this up, was, can you confirm that it wasn't one of the roommates basically responsible? That's what they were trying to get at. And what he basically confirmed is that he does not think that it was the roommate. He did not confirm that it was actually the roommate that called. He did say the roommate's phone was used. He didn't tell us which one, but he also stated that one of the friends had arrived. So what I'm assuming is a friend of one of the, again, my assumption would be based off of what he just said, is that a friend arrived to see one of the other girls, again, on that first floor where the doorway is. So they wouldn't have even necessarily gone up into that second level, but maybe they noticed something out of normal, didn't have their phone handy, grabbed the roommate's phone, called 911, and maybe they went into shock or something. There are so many ways that this could have happened without the other roommates knowing. Like I that pisses me off when they continue to spin that, because these poor kids are traumatized as is. Granted, maybe we'll find out in the end or I'm wrong, which could absolutely happen. But there would be something, I think, already there. And where they have nothing right now, it leads me to believe that they absolutely have kind of no clue where to go. I feel absolutely even more horrified after hearing that. How do you guys feel after listening to that? Do you guys feel like this is just getting off on a bad start? The other part of me is also hoping that they know a lot more than they're even letting on, which we do know that, of course, they know a lot more than they're telling us. But one thing that's really interesting to me is they're basically coming out and correcting all the misinformation that sisters of one of the victims has spread, other social media rumors, Reddit posts. Like, they are directly addressing this misinformation and getting ahead of it. And for that, I give them major props. Yeah, I hate peas. That's what I say too. And I think they're just being very clear, or trying not to be they're trying not to give away too much information and keeping the integrity of the investigation going and solid for now, is what I feel about it. I feel the same way, Dee. I feel the same freaking way. I feel defeated. Yep. Beth, yep. And you were very right. If this is a young kid with no criminal history, even if they do have a criminal history, a lot of times, they might not have DNA in the system. There's so many things. Like, these are young kids. A lot of these kids have probably never been fingerprinted before, let alone, DNA in a system, no criminal background, things like that. So if it's a younger kid, there's also that possibility. Even if it's an older person, there's always that possibility too. They corrected the the rumors about what did he directly say? He corrected the rumors about the phone calls that he basically said that yes, because it's being blown up all over social media that the law enforcement hasn't even been investigating that. And they both made calls to what would be Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, who was in Boise at the time with another group of girls. Supposedly that's, again, rumor, speculation at this time, but that was being put out there. And the sister said they didn't feel like he was involved. This is another Jack. There's multiple Jacks. If you've been following this on Facebook groups, Reddit, anything, you're seeing the name Jack everywhere. Again, I don't know why everybody's named Jack up there, but it seems to be a very common name. So people have been getting confused and running with speculation and saying, people have been, these are young kids and they're trying to make them all responsible. Everybody's responsible. And I know that happens generally, but again, he stated right there that they have done 90 interviews. They have 646 tips. And you guys, just so you are aware too, and I do know this for sure, not only tips are coming in that area, but they are in Northern Idaho too. They have a whole unit up there that's taking leads because a lot of these kids, again, are from there. They went to school with these guys. So they're doing investigations in the Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls. Like they're talking to all those kids that went home from up there too. So they're deployed all over the state. Like they're not just in one area looking. And when she asked if this is an interstate crime, like if they're looking, of course they are. It's right on the border. Like some of the questions that they asked just blow me away. But they're not going to tell us like, oh yeah, we think he's a student at this college. Like they're not going to do that, thankfully. Yeah. Yep. And I'm glad they're not. I'm glad. Oh, yeah. And that they're not bound. They were not bound. They were not gagged and bound. They were not. Yes. Yeah, that's what he just updated. In their release before, they had said, I think in the 30s. But today he said 90 interviews. I took notes. 646 tips that they are going to be following up on. Today they brought in a few more people to talk. ISP, they brought in. The thing that I wish they would have asked them is what's with the gap with Ethan and Xana? Why on their information that they've released to media is that big gap? Are they unaware of where they were from that time, like in that gap? Or what? Because that's leaving a lot of speculation, which again, they might not be able to speak on that, but it seems like they're looking for more information. So maybe they aren't quite sure yet. I don't know. How are you guys all feeling? I know that was heavy. Today's been heavy. I'm really sorry. It's been a heavy day over here. There was a gap. We went over it in the timeline before. Let me see if I wrote it down. I don't think I wrote it down. I think it said that they were at the party from 8 to 9 p.m. Can anybody correct me? It's in the stream already that we did, but on the map, it shows like when where they were, and they're said to be at a party between, I think it was 8 and 9. And then it was like the next time that they have for Ethan and Xana is 1:45 when they arrived home. So they've left that kind of open-ended where they have more information about where Kaylee and Madison were at that time, which maybe they're just keeping it tight-lipped on purpose. No, you're good. You're good. Sorry, I know it's all over the place. But they didn't really get home at 1:45. Yeah, it's so confusing. And then the roommates are stated to have gotten home at 1 a.m. It sounds like, they're not saying it but you're led to believe that they got home, went to bed, and were in their areas, and then the others got home. We don't know if they all interacted when they got home. I mean, there's so much. They're saying that they got home at 1:45 a.m. and then they're putting the crimes between 3 and 4. So an hour, maybe 2 hours at most between. Lisa, I'm so sorry. I'm sure this is really hard for you. I'm sending you huge hugs. I can't even imagine. I'm seeing Ethan's parents talk too. I wish that's the stuff people need to be playing. That's the things that are important in this case. The family's voices need lifted. Law enforcement needs credible help and tips, not all this speculation and bullshit rumors that people will be calling in from across the country saying, well, so and so, because I found him on social, and that freaking shit happens. And it's disgusting, in my opinion. But tragedy pimpers. Before they said they had gotten home at 9. Yeah, there's so much that I have questions about, but we're not going to get them yet. We'll continue to follow this. I'm not going to do like daily things because there's nothing to update. If there's anything big on it, we will of course come and talk, and we'll bring it up, with more. I want to get Nunya up here one of these times with us and Amethyst and talk about, because we all have like ideas and opinions and theories, and I know some of you guys will connect with some of the thoughts and stuff, so we'll do that one of these days when they're available. Yeah, right. I have questions, but I ain't a tragedy pimp, so I can wait. Yeah, and that's the crazy thing with the tragedy pimps. They don't usually wait for answers. They just concoct them on their own. They will have somebody tarred and feathered before anybody has ever even been arrested for anything or a crime has been committed. That's how that group works. Anyways, keep vigilant. Please start locking your doors. If you have kids that age, please encourage them to continue to lock their doors. Always go with somebody else. I mean, these kids were doing, sounds like everything right, and it still happened. Like they were in pairs. They were, they went out together. They had a DD. Like they did all of the things that we're taught to do, right? And unfortunately, sometimes it's just not enough, and it's like horrifying. There's no reason for this. It's absolutely horrifying. My heart goes out to all of the families, the friends of the victims. Again, that area is very tight-knit, very small town-ish. People are rocked right now. It's the holidays. Like, this is just not okay. Me too, Solo. And they were asking for all the Ring camera footage and stuff of everybody around the area. And they said, even if basically people think it's nothing, please send it in. And I really hope for that. Yes. Thank you guys all for being here. Hours of footage. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to take time. It's going to take time to process all of the footage from around, all of the different, everything that they found at the scene. And again, we're at the holidays. It's things move kind of slow up in that area anyways. It's not high crime. It's not a high crime area. Oh my goodness. Speaking of Colorado, yes, Lucy, thank you for saying that. Speaking of Colorado, I don't even know what to say there. What another tragedy, another senseless tragedy. How many have been confirmed so far? I know last time I saw there was 18 injured, I think, and I can't remember how many passed. Let me look. If you guys have not seen that yet, let me see if there's a 22-year-old is suspected of killing 5 at an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs. And there was, I think, 18 injured. Let me look just to make sure I got it right. $25 now, they're saying. A 22-year-old suspect has been taken into custody after 5 people were killed and at least 25 were injured in a shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub late Saturday night in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Jeez Louise. Yeah. Did you guys? Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Like it's up to 5 and 25 now, pugs, in this one article. Oh yeah. And this is holy cow. NBC is saying, let's see what NBC says. Yeah, NBC says 25 now too. 5 and 25. Gosh. How terrible. This is just getting, yeah, it's becoming regular news. That's right, we're the skink boober in Colorado. Is she really? Is Lauren? I don't even pay attention to her. Period. That's it. Oh, D, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, Colorado has been really plagued with a lot of stuff lately too. I don't know. It's becoming. Oh, Elle, I'm so sorry. I can only imagine that intensifies the fear. And it shouldn't be like that, but it is. And all right, y'all. I think we all need a break. What are you all going to do for the rest of the day to do something for self-care? Everybody needs to disconnect. Again, let the pigs play in the mud if they want to. We don't do that. We don't need to do that. Yeah, thankfully somebody stepped up and shot or was able to stop the shooter. Yes. Take a nap, cooking, bubble bath time, meditate. Lisa, you need to take some time and do something for you too. Nikki, you need rest. It's bedtime. Take a name, then go bowling. There you go. Take a nap and then go bowling, maybe. Sleep time. All right. Then I'm going to let you all go to sleep. I'm going to go eat dinner with my family and watch a movie. I will tell you guys the name of that movie too, because I know a lot of you guys like crime movies or whatever. And this one was extremely good. Again, it's got Halle Berry. It's on Netflix. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. We just got done. I'm horrible with names, y'all. Let's just give me that. Ooh, watch NFL football. Who in here is a Chiefs fan? Anybody? Anybody? Probably not. Denver Donkeys fans, probably. Some Seattle Sea Chickens fans. I've got nicknames for all of the teams. I don't really watch football that much anymore. Elton John, okay. Clerks 2. You need a good laugh. That's a great laugh. All right. I think you all, well, those of you interacting, go do something for you, please. And if you guys have messaged me, don't look for a response until probably till tomorrow. I literally have been ignoring my inbox because some people I've been responding to because they've been just great about trying to help me and provide stuff to me, but I need to decompress. So, and there you go. Anne's a Chiefs fan. I'm sure we've probably got Patriots fans. We've probably got Buccaneers fans, Raiders fans. We've probably got it all. All right, y'all. Jose, thank you for sending the hearts as always. Yes, please lock your doors. Stay alert. If you have kids, just keep an extra eye on everything. You can do everything right and things can still happen, unfortunately, in this world we're living in. The Colts, there you go. Eat and sleep for you. Okay. I don't sleep very well, but I do eat, so I can do that. Good night, y'all. Thank you, Mochas. Lucy, thank you for reminding me of the Colorado thing. I will make a post about that and send positive. It feels so helpless. How are we supposed, what are we supposed to do? Does anybody else just feel this impending doom with there? It just becomes more and more and more of this. But now we're seeing why. The state of people's mental state is really not good recently. And that's very obviously. Yes. Okay. I'm Titans. Ooh, Tennessee Titans. Okay. Again, I'm horrible at goodbyes. You all know that. This is the typical me. Should I come up with a new name for my exit? Like Scarlet, over and out. No, that doesn't sound even close to normal. P.S. I don't know anybody by the name of that. Anyways, but here's there. Contessa. Oh, Lisa. That's probably very good. Yes, Mochas, I agree with that. It starts with our own families. We need to be vigilant. Yep. Take our crazy pills on time. Yep, I agree with that. Getting together helps. Yeah, and talking about it, I think, also brings awareness. Okay. All right. Contessa, over and out. I'll see you guys tomorrow.